Our film is a South Korean production released in 2020 and entitled The Swordsman, and it is based on true events. On March 12 of the lunar year 1623, and during the Imperial Joseon dynasty, a king named Gwanghai Jun ruled. Unfortunately, King Gwanghai, along with his infant and bodyguard, had to flee the rebels who planned to topple his monarchy. The rebels were certain royal officials who used to support King Gwanghai, but when he did nothing to resolve the dispute between the Ming and Qing dynasties, they revolted. Regrettably, numerous high-ranking officials in the Joseon kingdom were upset by King Gwanghai's choice not to support the Ming dynasty, which had been assisting the Joseon kingdom all along. Taeyol, the strongest swordsman in the land, has served as the king's bodyguard. The invading group's captain must confront Taeyol, the last remaining guard, who intends to serve his king well. Hence, a heated duel arises. They launch quick assaults while evaluating each other's abilities. They adopt their position once more and start to battle swiftly. They continuously overcome one another in a grueling and stressful battle. Taeyol, unfortunately, hurts his hand in the process and is about to lose. The movie then shifts to a future era. Taeyol has successfully reared his daughter Taeok in the highlands. The two enjoy a simple life by hunting together. He has taught her many combat and survivalist skills. Although leading a joyful life, one day, Taeyol's vision becomes cloudy and he seems like a sickly older version of himself. He collapses in the woods, but his daughter helps him up and takes him to the doctor. It turns out that blood has accumulated inside his eyes, and the old combat wounds will eventually cause him to become blind. The doctor claims that Joseon town has a special plant that may be utilized to treat his eyes. Outside, the doctor privately tells her that her father's condition is deteriorating and he needs to be treated as soon as possible. After hearing the good news about the herbs, Taeok is ecstatic and hopeful. She demands that they leave right away. Taeyol disagrees with the notion, stating that her safety should come first and that the town is too hazardous for her. She wonders why her father lives this secluded life and asks him about his fears of leaving this mountain. He doesn't respond to her. Despite what he says about the village, Taeok agrees to buy the herb by herself, and Taeyol eventually caves and joins her. They then travel together to the town. The captain from the fated duel has, in the meantime, been elevated to the rank of officer in the kingdom. He wants to leave his position, nevertheless, and savor his remaining days. Lee, as a respected member of the court, does not want him to go, because the Huangbang, a kindred faction of the adversary, the Qing dynasty, who indulge in the slave trade, are worried. Lee is also concerned that the Huangbang may one day demand that he hands over his daughter to them. Taeyol and his daughter, on the other hand, have arrived in Joseon. Taeok is overjoyed to see true civilization for the first time, so she inspects the shops and the gods, and can't believe her eyes. She and her dad share a local meal, but then they are startled to find the Huangbang, who had seized one of the locals' wives as a slave. The guy has saved enough money to purchase his wife, but they have raised the price, leaving his daughter in tears. The spouse begs the three Huangbang martial arts specialists to release his wife and take the money. But they knock him hard, and he tumbles over. Taeyol prevents Taeok from speaking up in his defense. Suddenly, Joseon's guards arrive to disperse the melee. They depart, however, because they are helpless in the face of the Huangbang and are unwilling to break the pact that binds the two kingdoms. They don't want to create opponents for the Qing dynasty. Guru Tai, the Huangbang's teacher, is conversing with Lee at this time. Lee tries to remain cool, but Guru Tai keeps making fun of Joseon and its men, traditions, and culture. This enrages the captain, especially when he orders him to learn their language and stop hiring an interpreter, since they'll be seeing more of each other. Afterward, Guru Tai challenges him to a duel with a member of his guard. The captain valiantly agrees, but the leader orders him to go easy on his opponent and to back off at the last second in order to avoid an incident. During the sparring, the captain overwhelms the guard with his relentless assault, while the guard looks down on him. The guard continues to make fun of him during the fight, until the captain displays his real skills. He successfully overcomes the guard and would have ended him, except for Guru Tai's intervention. The combat is called off, and Guru Tai commends the captain on his abilities, before leaving without causing more trouble. Taeyol and Taeok, on the other hand, have come to the trade station based on the doctor's recommendation. The merchant, however, declines their request, since the uncommon plant is so pricey and cannot be gotten without an official missive. Taeok offers their fine pelts as payment, but it is not enough. They treat them like beggars and ask them to leave. Taeyol and Taeok leave empty-handed after hearing the rude response. They come upon Guru Tai and his guards on their route. Guru Tai talks with the merchant and suggests opening a slave trafficking store there. The merchant respectfully declines his idea, stating that the post is only for legal items. Guru Tai has heard a rumor about her being a dagger expert and wants to see her in action. To avoid a physical confrontation, she then excuses herself and unwillingly accepts their presence. Taeyol gives his daughter a gift from the town on their way home. It is the bracelet she was fond of. This thrills Taeok. Before returning to the mountains, they pay a visit to Taeok's aunt. The captain is currently seeing Guru Tai begin a new romance. Due to his skill with a sword, Guru Tai appreciates him, and extends him an invitation to join his ranks, which he accepts grudgingly. On the other side, Taeok receives a visit from the merchant inviting her to the community. She claims that Lee would adopt Taeok, because he needs a young daughter to care for his elderly mother. The merchant will also offer her a unique herb to treat her father's eyes to sweeten the offer. The offer makes Taeok extremely happy, and she accepts it right away. There is a bustle inside the house as she prepares to depart. Upon inspection, the merchant and her security discover that the waiters are being coerced into stripping by Guru Tai's guards. The two of them become incensed by the behavior, and they engage in combat with one of the Huangbangs. The Huangbang fights unarmed, while the two of them battle with swords. He expertly avoids and counters their coordinated strikes. After some time, the Huangbang finally succeeds in finishing both of them, causing their demise. Taeok appears out of nowhere and throws a rock at him. He is upset by the incident, but Taeyol arrives to offer his daughter's condolences. The Huangbang refuses to let her leave, despite the action, which enrages Taeyol. Taeyol uses his cane to block a sudden attack. To protect his daughter, Taeyol takes his hand and drags him outdoors to fight. He expertly resists and evades the onslaught with his quick feet. He strikes the Huangbang with his cane many times, rendering him unconscious. After seeing Taeyol's stare, the other guy abandons his desire to attack him. Captain, who is watching the fight from a distance, is brought back to his previous fight with Taeyol. As Taeyol's blade was broken at that moment, fragments of it shot into his eyes and left him nearly blind. When the former monarch noticed this, he surrendered, to put an end to the conflict. He also gave his daughter to his most trusted bodyguard, so he could raise her in seclusion and safety. Despite the new facts, Taeok still cares for Taeyol and wants to protect his eyes. Despite Taeyol's refusal, she presses on, accepting Lee's proposal under the guise of wanting to live a luxurious life in the city. The following morning, Taeok is taken up by Lee's men, and sobs as she leaves her father. Guru Tai orders several assassins to murder Taeyol, after learning of his guard's defeat by him. The assassins arrive and assault Taeyol, just as he is preparing to return to the mountain. After years of solitude, he suddenly draws his sword from its sheath and murders a guy. He then hastily travels to the city to save his daughter. The assassins also create a disturbance and finish off the guards at Lee's house. As Taeok and Lee's biological daughter watch the altercation, they flee. They are, however, discovered and taken before Guru Tai. Guru Tai had discovered Lee requesting the king's assistance in repelling the Huangbang. According to Lee's malicious plot, Guru Tai would take out Taeok, while allowing his biological daughter to live. But, when one of the guards recognizes Taeok, Guru Tai chooses to sell them as slaves instead. Meanwhile, Taeyol saves the merchant and goes in search of his daughter. He confronts the guard once more, this time hitting him while fighting against his strikes. He can take him down, even with his weapon sheathed. Then he murders him with the last strike. They head straight to Lee's house, but Taeok has already been abducted. The following day, Lee goes to Guru Tai's house with his guards to liberate his daughter. A sword is suddenly flung, finishing off the representative. The combat is over in a matter of seconds, as the guards charge but are quickly dispatched by the rifle. Thankfully, Taeyol shows up and saves Lee. Taeyol defeats both of the Huangbangs who are fighting him. He successfully avoids the combo assault and shifts his body position. By using his sword and kicks, he harms them piece by piece. He utilizes the Huangbangs as a shield, as the gunners also enter the battle. He eliminates the gunners one at a time and is unhurt by any of the shots. The assassins then enter the conflict. Despite the vast difference in numbers, he can initially repel them, but as his eyesight grows blurrier, he becomes increasingly unstable. As a result, he is forced to play defense and sustains several injuries. Even worse, one of the attackers strikes him brutally in the abdomen. He catches his breath when he kidnaps one of them. The other Huangbang runs away as they realize how terrifying Taeyol is. He eventually eradicates them all with success. Unfortunately, as a result of the wounds, he instantly passes out. He eventually awakens to see that merchant has treated his eyes with the uncommon plant. Before departing, the merchant tells him that if he continues to fight, he will go fully blind. He goes to meet Guru Tai but is stopped by Captain. As a result, a fight breaks out between them. They trade blows and struggle for a while. Taeyol shifts his posture and effectively protects himself against Captain's strikes. They then manage to damage one another and reach a standstill. Guru Tai beams when he witnesses Taeyol's sword prowess. Taeyol shifts his position once more, this time relying on his hearing. He injures Captain's arm with one stroke, evades the onslaught, and defeats him. He lays down his sword, but Guru Tai slices Captain's neck from behind and murders him, because he doesn't want a loser among his ranks. Later, he asks Taeyol to fight in an arena. Eventually, the tragic duel between the two swordsmen begins. Guru Tai attacks first and goes on the offensive. Taeyol continues to resist the onslaught, but is severely damaged in the process. He can't get up because blood spills from his wounds. Suddenly, Guru Tai's mistress appears, carrying Taeyok, who is being held hostage. He rises and grasps his blade after seeing his daughter's condition. Taeyol goes on the offensive this time, injuring Guru Tai many times. Guru Tai leaps on him, catching him off guard. Taeyol stands up and slices the mistress's neck. Guru Tai is enraged by the deed and charges toward Taeyol. This time, they both fight equally. Taeyol defends Taeyok from Guru Tai's attempts to harm her. He locks Guru Tai's sword after that and strikes his ear till it rings. Guru Tai then forces Taeyol to the ground, but his ear ringing seriously knocks him off balance. Guru Tai is enraged as Taeyol slices through his Achilles tendon. Taeyol then reaches out with his blade and cuts through Guru Tai's neck. He is eliminated by a fatal abdominal stab from the attacker. Taeyol is finally reunited with his beloved daughter as he gradually loses his vision. At seeing her father's sacrifice for her, Taeyok sobs while being held by her father. Finally, Taeyol reflects on his time as the former king's guard, when he first encountered newborn Taeyok. They eventually find themselves back in the mountain. He is now ready to see the rest of the world, so Taeyok clutches her father's hand as they descend the slopes together.